Marty.
Welcome to Black Man Lab, everybody. Glad to have you join us on this Monday. We're going to have a very insightful and deep conversation around the current uprising that's going on, as well as our young organizers that are out there. We're going to have a couple of guys on that have been in the organization of a lot of these movements that are going on, and just talk about how we transition from the previous types of organizing that we had to today's, which is very different. Little background, we are Black Man Lab. Black Man Lab was founded by Brother Molly Davis and some other brothers from another associate group called Let Us Make Man, which was really just grounded in trying to have some space for their sons to talk to other strong Black men. And that has blossomed into what we have today of a great group of men that are looking to just download whatever information they have to our young Black men to give them a jump start in life. So with that, we have a couple of things that we want to do before we get started here. First and foremost, what I would like to do is bring in Brother Jared Grant, who is a member of the Black Man Lab. Today, he's going to be serving as one of our panelists, but he's also the person that gets us grounded every week as it relates to where we come from, our ancestors. So, Jared, could you step in and do your thing, brother?
Absolutely. Thank you, Marty. I want to wish everybody a good day. Thank you for joining us. And I want you to just kind of ground yourself as we just remember our ancestors. I want you to take a few moments to just think about those national ancestors, those who brought us to where we are. And I want you to lock them into your mind for a couple seconds. And then I want you to raise your fist up, folks, and say Ashe. Ashe.
Ashe.
Now I want you to also think about the ancestors in your own family line, those who came before you, who made you, and making you was significant. So we want to honor those ancestors that came before us in your own family, those great grandfathers and great grandmothers, and so on and so forth. So think about them for just a few seconds. And let's hold our fists up and honor them by saying Ashe. Ashe.
Ashe.
3 times. Ashe.
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 All right.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, Brother Grant. Appreciate that. Also want to bring in another one of our Black Man Lab board members, Fred Parham. Fred, if you could come in and talk a little bit about our resources, as well as getting us further centered for today's session.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Thank you, Marty. Good evening, everyone in the listening and viewing audience. At this point, we just want to take the time to kind of posture ourselves in a position where we can take a deep breath, reflect on this moment, center ourselves in this moment, giving thanks by taking that breath. 3, 2, 1. Again, 3, 2, 1. So what that should do is immediately bring you in this moment and present, open to receive what you're about to hear these dynamic young organizers set the table with. And then as it relates to the Black Man Lab Resource Center, we're always open to deposits. And the 4 areas that we focus on in receiving and giving help to young people and people that care for young people are 1, education resources, K-12, collegiate, that includes some scholarship information. Secondly, employment, counseling services, and then housing. And our housing supports resources are our 4th pillar. So, and you can send an email to resources@blackmanlab.org. Again, that's resources@blackmanlab.org. So we'll look forward to hearing from you.
All right. Thank you, Brother Fred. Appreciate that. Again, we are active and busy with Black Man Lab all the time, and we are always looking for resources. We're always looking for anything that we can do to help our young Black men out there. So feel free to go on our website, as well as if you want to donate, there's an opportunity for you to donate to the cause as well. With that, I'm going to see if I can pull him in here. Mauli is going to be one of our panel members today, rather than co-hosting with me as he normally does. So Brother Parham will be co-hosting with me. Want to bring Brother Mauli in first. He's been out today doing a couple of speaking engagements. So hopefully I can bring him in here real quick so he can get a word in before we start off into our panel session. Mauli?
Yeah, can you see and hear me?
We can hear you, brother.
All right, peace, brothers. Just giving thanks to be able to connect. Had a tremendous organizing effort yesterday, and just kind of going into this, just leaving the Public Defenders for Black Lives rally down at the historic Ebenezer Baptist Church, where Dr. King once pastored. So just a tremendous gathering of public defenders and allies there to really lift up the role of public defenders in terms of being at the tip of the spear and ensuring that public defenders are doing that heavy lifting of trying to humanize Black lives in a system that dehumanizes them. So just thankful to be a part of this conversation, and again, wanting to encourage brothers to reach out and continue to reach out to let folks know about this particular organizing panel and broadcast, because I think it's going to be powerful, and just looking forward to it. So with that, man, y'all take it away, brother Marty, brother Fred, and again, thank you for everyone that's a part of this effort, brother Mark Lawson, Maurice Thompson, Eldridge Washington, everybody that plays a part in bringing this to our community. So let's just keep pushing.
All right, brother. Thank you, man. Appreciate you. With that, what I would like to do is just go through the panel, do a quick introduction of yourself, give a little bit about your history as it relates to organizing, and then we'll come back to everybody as well with other questions. So, Brother Eldridge Washington, I'm going to start with you because yesterday we had a very impressive protest, and you got up on the mic and were super powerful, brother. So I want to start with you. Don't go with your same energy that you went with yesterday, because I know you're on live now. We don't want you going crazy like you said yesterday. But we needed that yesterday. That energy was good. So give us some background about your history, brother.
Man, born and raised in Monroe, Georgia, and that is very significant to my journey of becoming an activist. I wasn't born into what you would call a conscious family, so I didn't really step into my consciousness until around 22, 23, when I met the Brothers of Let Us Make Man, Mauli Davis to be exact. Mauli just saw me, he met me through a friend, and he pulled me in. The rest is history. But the reason I say being from Monroe is so significant, the last major mass lynching in the country happened in Georgia, Monroe, Georgia, Morris Ford Bridge. Two couples, a Black man, a Black woman, two Black men, two Black women. Both of the women were pregnant. They were killed. They were hung. They say that one of the women's babies were actually cut out of her in that instance. And the reason why I say it's so significant is because they say the people that were involved, some of the people involved still alive, still live in Monroe. There are people that know of it, white and Black, and there has been no prosecution brought. Coming full circle, I came into this movement when I was 22, and I've just had the privilege of studying and learning under you brothers, joining a lot of fights. And when this movement really took off in 2020, after the execution of George Floyd, I'm now having the opportunity to actually go back to my hometown and organize. So I just feel like I spent all this time preparing for this time and this moment. And what you heard from me on Sunday, that was that. That was that, me knowing this time.
Yeah, yeah. We could see your passion, and number one, we appreciated it, but number two, it was needed. And number three, brother, don't stop it. Don't stop it, because this is the time right now, man. So thanks again, brother Eldridge. Jared, give a quick intro of yourself, brother. You're on mute, Jared.
You're on mute. You're on mute.
Oh, I don't know how that happened, but my name is Jared Grant, and it's interesting. I think Maoli and I literally our birthdays are about 14, 15 days apart. Born in the midst of the Black Power movement, but we went to college, HBCUs, and all of that during the rise of the Black Conscious movement. And so I was there in Atlanta. I was here in Atlanta when the Rodney King piece jumped off. I was in graduate school at Clark Atlanta University, a time when the AU Center was bustling with, just intellectual everything, and just had a great spirit going on the campuses. But when the Rodney King happened in '92, it was mass protests. And if I fast forward from the rebellion that happened with Rodney King and the use of a video camera at the time that had to go through a system where you had to take your camera or your tape to the local media station and get the permission of them before they would even release it or broadcast it to the nation. To now, where we're in a time where I began my work around 2010 with Let Us Make Man, becoming a community organizer, working with the Davis Bozeman law firms, community services piece, doing that type of organization to where we came into 2013. 2013 was the Trayvon Martin piece. We did a piece on Respect Black Lives, and somebody else did a piece called Black Lives Matter at the exact same time. One became very public and national and international as an organization, but it also marked the time of the Black Lives Matter movement. There's an organization, and we also make a differentiation between the organization and actually the actual movement itself. And so doing this type of work, fast forward to 2014, where we had Michael Brown, and it really set off, where we did a lot of work as various and different plural organizations. We began to see the rise of social media, and social media began to help us in the drive to begin to broadcast without any type of mediation, without the permissions of others, in order for us to broadcast our narrative. And so what you see today in my work and some of my research has been on this very topic. And so fast forward to today and what we saw yesterday, and with the youth, we have those youth using their phones in order to document and videotape what's actually happened. And as me, a scholar, an activist, is for me to do the work to make sure I'm documenting and putting out our narrative to the masses as well. So so that's a little bit about myself, but also a little bit about my research and my community activism, while just putting down some roots on what we've been doing.
Awesome, brother. Thank you. Brother Mike Morgan, give us a little background about you, brother.
How's everyone doing? I'm Michael Morgan. I'm a rising senior at Oglethorpe University, studying political science. I am on the executive board of Collegiate 100 there. I won't go as far as to call myself an organizer, but I will say that, one of the best things I've ever done in my life personally is I started a mentorship organization. And I started a mentorship organization at a school in Ohio. I'm originally from Ohio. And ever since that moment, I would say that I'm a fighter. And I fight for the opportunity for our young, Black children to have a quality education, and to have just as much as an opportunity and a chance to reach their dreams as everyone else. And that's something that I think is extremely important. And that's something that, through my studies and through my different channels as far as where I want to go in my career is something I always fight for. And that's what I do, and that's a little bit about myself.
Awesome. Thank you, young man. Appreciate you. Appreciate your energy, bro. Young L.
What's going on?
Hey, hey.
I am L. I'm a son. I'm a son, most important above anything else. I'm a brother, and I think my organizing started back when my parents were on Clark Atlanta campus. And, you know, I don't remember the order, but I think it was either my mom first, then Tupac and my dad. They all spoke at an event, or vice versa, or my dad first, then Tupac and my mom. So I was born to this. I've been in different groups as far as the KOI. I've studied under you guys, grew up under you guys, and just been kind of making change since I was a youngin'. And even when I got to college, I kept that mindset, though I drifted in certain ways. I just always was there to change the status quo. And now that my generation is on full blast, I stand with them.
Awesome. And we appreciate your work, Young L. And you'll probably be 50 years old and still go by Young L for everybody on this panel today. See, that's what we always call you. But we appreciate your efforts and your work, man, and always being willing to jump in and help. So thank you so much for that. Mauli.
Yes, sir.
Well, you have a pretty extensive background. You want to give a quick about your background?
Yeah, super quick. You know, going to the Naval Academy helped bring out the revolutionary in me, just experiencing overt racism, Confederate flags, being in people's rooms, all kinds of craziness that they told me when I was a plebe. That was when I was a freshman. Smile Davis, it was at dark, you know, smile so we can see you, those kind of things. And then being able to go up to Howard, the Mecca, and really hang on the weekends and get a sense of the culture, sneak out, see Minister Farrakhan. All of that helped shape. And then I started reading a book called The Journey of the Songhai People. I was organizing with my brothers on campus, Dr. Ricky Jones, who's a chair of the Pan-African Studies Department now, my boy Jay Harrell, Jason Pace. So we became the S1Ws. We were influenced by Public Enemy. We were passing around Public Enemy tapes and Malcolm X tapes, A Ballad or a Bullet, and that helped shape us really. And then really the African-centered education movement, as Jared described as the Black consciousness movement, was a renaissance, and it allowed me to connect with people like Conrad Worrell, may he rest in peace, a new ancestor, Anderson Thompson, a new ancestor, Sharshi McIntyre, so John Henry Clark. And then that started my life of being in organizations committed to the liberation of Black people, and did organizing with my wife, Jana, now for 25 years, from organizing in Spain, organizing cultural after-school programs, basketball tournaments in Jeffrey Manor, you name it, you know, everything, just trying to organize around Black people. And now in this moment, serving more as an advisor to some of the younger organizers at times, and willing to come and lend in any way, organizing lawyers to help support the movement. So that's, you know, it in a nutshell, but just real thankful that this space is open up. Thankful for the young voices like L, and my young brother from Oglethorpe. And I know, I think Brother Russell, I tried to invite him in. We were just on V103 together. And I just wanted to, you know, bring him in because he's been in the streets heavy. And Marty, you just got to tell him the rules to the game, because he's coming in without, you know, just no prep. Sure. I just said, bro, we need you on here, brother. And
coming
like
in hot.
Black man, he did
just
it.
throwing him in there. That's
up.
All right. Hey, Brother Russell, welcome to our space, man. And before I get to you, we just jump to Mauli, back to Mauli. I've seen this, you know, we've been together for a real long time, probably longer than we care to talk about, but I've seen his growth in the movement and his growth as an organizer. And one, I'm proud of him, but two, it gives me great hope in the young brothers that are out there right now doing the levels of organizing that took Maui a little bit while to get to, just because he, didn't start as early as other people. So, Maui, thank you for your guidance and leadership as it relates to organizing, because these young brothers, they are what's going to get us to the future, man. And they're what's going to change the world for the children's children and thereafter, man, with the guidance from some of the good leaders that we have on this call today. So thank you for that. With that, Brother Russell, I want to bring you in, man. You coming in hot, so give us a quick introduction of yourself and tell us about what got you in the organizing world.
Okay, cool, man. First, I'd like to thank my brother for inviting me. Like he said, man, I'm kind of just actually out here independent right now, but not really, because I've kind of been in the community space my whole life. My mother has a long-standing nonprofit organization, Holistic Stress Control Institute. She's won, one of the Robert Wood Foundation awards for community organizing. So I kind of just been in that space.
Bro, that's your mom?
Jenny Trotter.
Oh
that's
my
your
God.
mom?
Yeah, that's my mom.
Man, yeah, you born, yeah, you in this.
Yeah.
So, I didn't even know that. I'm sorry, y'all, to interrupt. Go ahead, brother.
Nah, it's good. Anytime I say something, I don't shout her out. She'll hit me up. She'll be like, "Hey, you better, say what's up." But I say that to say, bro, like, even with that foundation, as a black man, as a black young man, as a black boy growing up in that, I still got pulled into the entertainment industry, and I thought I was passionate about entertainment, and that was my passion. But I'm realizing I was recruited to do entertainment and participate in the influencer program for the private prison population. And it took me a long while to realize that, but really until I started organizing on myself on a larger level. So I have a very experienced advertising background. I one of the first black advertising agencies in Atlanta, Images USA, Bob McNeil founded. They were one of the largest in the Southeast. And I kind of got in the game by doing art, beats, and lyrics. I'm the one who hooked up Jack Daniels and Jabari from Art, Beats, and Lyrics. I don't know if you brothers are familiar or not, but basically it's a traveling art show. So I kind of got in the game. My niche was connecting brands and hip hop, you know what I'm saying, pretty much. And also just had a lot of experience. I worked with Good Music before, DTP, all of that, you know what I'm saying? But basically say that to say, even with my background, some of you guys know what my mom is. The media is really black people's God, bro. And I don't mean disrespect to, any of us. I'm just saying from the masses. And, the reason why we're seeing, such a turnout, the media is driving it too. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of the people are just driven by media. So I kind of have.
We lost you, Brother Russell.
Yeah, I think we lost him. Okay. Well, if he comes back up, Marty, we'll get him back in the conversation.
Okay.
But, good evening, y'all. It's so great for me to be in this position in my service to the Black Man Labs mission. Generally I'm behind the scenes, and so tonight I get to serve as a guest co-host. So I'm just gonna jump right in, man. We want to get down to the nuts and bolts and the foundation of what motivated you brothers to really get involved. Because the message, as Brother Russell was saying, is individualism. But this work, when you talk about organizing, it is the opposite of individualism. It is certainly a selfless thing where one sacrifices to organize, and you got to deal with personality. So I just like for perhaps Michael and El, being the younger two brothers on the call, what drew you to do this selfless work of organizing?
I'll go ahead and jump first. I think, like I said, I was I mean, I didn't really have a choice with this per se. You know, growing up around you guys, growing up around my father, my mom, and just what they instilled in us since birth. You know, once we get that foundation laid, it's kind of hard to break away no matter how hard you try. You really have to try. It's, you know, it's like learning the fundamentals of any sport or any skill set. Once you have the fundamentals down, they're forever with you, you know. And so I was just thrown in it and I strayed away. But when I got back into it, I would say it was definitely my junior year in high school. And I just realized that I really understood how different I was. And I really understood what made me different. It wasn't that I just was like, I choose to be different than everybody else, but it was just that I was just clearly different from everybody else. And not like I was better than anybody, but just the way I thought, the way I believed, the way I moved was just different. And so I began to wonder, why is that so? You know, my senior year when I graduated and went to college, I went to college and my good homeboy, he got life in prison. And so I began to dissect, like, what was the difference that went into me? And as I started finding the differences through studying Franz Fanon and Francis Cress Wilson and W.E.B. Du Bois and listening to John Henry Clark on YouTube repeatedly, and listening to Jared Grant and getting calls from Mauli Davis and Melik and, you know, and everybody else down the line, I just began to really understand who I really was at my core. And so I wanted to offer that to everybody else, to understand who they were at their core and see what change we could make on campus. And by the time I started making change, they were on to me. And, you know, you guys know the rest of that story. But yeah, I didn't choose it. I was thrown into it, but I stand in it firmly now. And I think my brothers are starting to do the same.
Yeah, I'm going to start by saying we need you. And so glad that you are exercising discipline. Mike, what about you, man? What brought you to what young folks say being woke, and what drew you to organize?
Honestly, I would echo a lot of what El said. I mean, it wasn't like I like chose it. It kind of chose me in the same way of like so many people helped me growing up, and I realized how instrumental that help and that guidance was. And so the first thing I felt was this need to do the same for others, right? And then you grow and you go into, like, you know, college, and you study, and, you know, I study political science, so a lot of do with politics and things like that. You go into the field and you start helping people, and you start realizing what's really stopping people from being the best versions of themselves. And when you see that, you go, oh, okay, it's not as simple as me being there and me teaching you this. You can't even leave out your house. You know what I mean? You can't go play at the park. You know, so it becomes like a issue of humanity. It becomes this life problem that you got to go and solve. So it's like, yeah, I could be a great administrator, but until we can fight for the ability to just be happy first, for the ability to just go to school and get a quality education and just be valued as human beings, the administration is not even gonna matter. You know what I mean? So I think that's kind of what it was. It was this awakening and seeing that, like, you know, we gotta fight step A before, you know, step B, C, D can be effective.
Thanks for that response, brother. Eldridge, a little bit longer.
Yeah, man.
At 30, brother. Talk to us.
Yeah, man. Look, I'm old now, right? So for me, I can tell you exactly when. 2010. I had a privilege of watching 3 students, because I started a nonprofit before when I was in high school called MADE. It was an acronym for Motivated Adults Developing Excellence. And it was a mentor and leadership program. And in 2010, I ended up losing a student. And I was just thinking about how I lost them, right, to the system. And I just realized it's going to take more than community service in the parks to save our Black boys. And that was kind of what pulled me in, just starting to research the difference between what they call direct service and direct action organizing. And then just understanding that there is a big difference in
Right.
United Way and Malcolm X grassroots movement.
Right.
Both are needed, but I understood if I really wanted to make impact, I had to go on the MXGM side. And that's how I got here.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. I wanna kind of change gears a little bit with some of our, I'm gonna call y'all some old heads now, Jared and Mowley. I want to talk to you guys and have you guys kind of expound upon what you're seeing today, right? And when I say what you're seeing, I'm talking about um, these young folks that are moving so much differently than what we've experienced in the past as it relates to calling out white supremacy, as it relates to calling out brutality, as it relates to just being in the movement in general. So, Jared, I want to start with you. Tell me what your take is on that and what you think the some good information could be for those folks in terms of how to move going forward.
One of the major differences, Marty, is I'm gonna go back to '92 with the Rodney King rebellion. That was a mass protest across the country. In Atlanta, we had a few hot spots. The AU Center was just one. And if we fast forward to the 2010s, we began to see an explosion in social media. Just think that between those years, we didn't have, or since civil rights movement, we hadn't had a huge movement, so to speak. We've always been in a movement. We've always been in this emancipation, anti-slavery, anti-Jim Crow, anti-colonization. We've always been in this field to emancipate and liberate ourselves. Young people have always been a part of the movement from the 60s with the AU, with the student movement there from the AU all the way to what we were doing just as a mass protest. What we have today is the blending of both mass protest and the movement. And so, but we've conjoined technology with that. We have now what we call this phone, which has so much technology tied into it. It's a convergence of one of the most powerful machines that we've ever known, that has been ever known to man. We are able to upload our digital content immediately, not encumbered by anything. And now, instead of it being filtered through white supremacy, through white decision making, through others who would manage our narrative, we are able to narrate our own story. So one of the big differences, and no longer do we have what I call information capitalism. No longer do we have somebody containing our narrative and making it different than what it is. We see a different Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms on Friday, and it was nice to see what she did on Sunday. We see a difference there where there may have been a traditional way of responding to taking the time in good leadership to kind of let me make a shift in some of my decision making right here. So during this time, we see that social media, that our students are digital natives. Many of us, Maoli and I, we are kind of immigrants. Fred, we all are immigrants. Marty, we are all immigrants to a certain extent to this land of technology. But these kids, the millennials, Generation Z, they are out there on the front lines doing the type of guerrilla journalism that's necessary. Those who are filming George when he was being killed, fighting for him in a sense to the voices of the police who disregarded him. So this is the first time in history that we're able to upload whatever we want and give our narrative and continue to fight against the broadcasting that was done by the corporate elite before. No longer can they stop our message. We are capable of putting out our own message. And I think that is the major difference from then to now.
Right. And I think that's probably one of the most important pieces, is that the fact that this information is out there now, like you see it, it's in your face. And I think that has taken the, you got giving you a look behind the curtain of what's really happening. And fortunately, these young brothers and sisters are out there. They see that and they're acting on it. I think what we want to get to, and what we want to have some understanding of, is how do we take that energy that these young folks have and focus it in the right way. We had a great gathering yesterday, great rally yesterday here in Decatur. Probably 5,000 plus people, not a problem. It was peaceful, and all the messages got across. But that was because we had some great organizing behind it with Mauli. So Mauli, with that, I want to bring you in to talk about that kind of a transition to what the elders, if you will, you're getting called. I've been hearing you getting called Baba lately, so man, that's interesting to me. So as a Baba,
nah, I'm not. I'm so in our tradition.
We're not elders yet.
before Baba Conrad passed, Baba Akinyele asked, "Was I reaching Baba status?" And Conrad said, "Nah, not yet." So that's I gotta wait. But and I think Russell, I'll hit it very quickly because I do want Brother Russell to come in because he's been in the street a lot with the young people.
Sure.
I think one of the things that we have to be careful of is condemning any part of what we've seen. And that includes the rioting and the looting and all of that. And I know that people really take offense, that there's a way to protest, but the reality is that we used all those ways before and we didn't get any results, right? And so I think it is almost, we just don't have any, we don't have any capital with our young people to be telling them, yo, don't do this, don't do that. All I'm saying is, brother, sister, I want you to understand, if you move this way, here are the consequences. Here's how it may go down. But if you feel like that's the way you got to move because you're tired of getting killed in these streets, then it is what it is. I'm not going to, run into the store behind you, but I'm not out here trying to protect anybody's property because our interest has to be in protecting our young Black lives and putting energy towards that. So I think the interesting part of this whole dynamic is that these young people are they are a lot more organized than we give them credit for. And we have to just continue to give them information. We have to do teach-ins. So one of the things that we are looking to do, hopefully with the support of my brother Craig King and Rap Plug, is to do is for us to be able to do a teach-in around reparations, because we have to expand the narrative. We have to expand the narrative. It is the way it currently is. It's just police brutality is just a extension of white supremacy. It's just a branch. It's really just a leaf.
That's right.
It's not even at the roots of police brutality. Is at the roots of police brutality is white supremacy, and dripping with the blood of Black African people. That's what watered this. What we see now is this full-grown system of white supremacy that touches on education, that touches on politics, that touches on every aspect in terms of every part of our human experience, whether it's Hollywood, how we're depicted in the media, all of that. But the roots of white supremacy, and so reparations seeks to address that in a comprehensive way. We're not talking about one check. We're talking about you gotta consider debt, forgiveness, housing, free education, all of that, right? So I just offer that up, and I know Brother Russell has some thoughts on that, man. I want to pitch it over to him. I'm trying to stay within our 2 to 3 minutes so that we can get as many questions in as possible. But this is an important conversation for our young brothers and sisters who are out there.
Thank you, man. I don't know. I was trying to go in between screens. Was it taking me off every time? The first time I was talking?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep the video on. Again, man, like I think this brotherhood, man. I'm a formal self-hate addict. You know what I'm saying? So it's almost like when you're a drug addict or a sex addict, the best people to kind of lead people who's going through that is somebody who's been through that. So I've been through, falling for the self-hate, you know what I'm saying? Disrespecting, looking at women only as sexual objects, relationships purely based on, monetary gain, you know what I'm saying? So like, in the music industry, I've been at it for 20 years, man. And really advertising has turned into the music industry. I tried to leave the music industry because I was tired of the bullshit. Goddamn, then advertising turned into the music industry. You know what I'm saying? And also, I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. Obviously, if you guys know, my mom went to Cascade Elementary, Sutton Middle School, North Atlanta, and Mays High School. So I've worked with youth all my life through her organization, but when I got older, I started a hip hop leadership program in Mechanicsville, Dunbar, the JWCT, where we went into jails, we went into underprivileged neighborhoods and taught these kids how to make music. We taught them how to use video cameras. We taught them, how to do graffiti, breakdance, all of that stuff. So through that, I also got tapped by Barack Obama while he was running. I put together an organization that did called Barack Music, where we did music on the behalf of him to get him elected. But purely, I think where I focus on now is my last campaign was Fresh Empire, which was a $125 million campaign given by the FDA, where I was the lead strategist for that campaign. I kind of was on the board of the exception. So the reason I say that is I feel like advertising affects behavior change. And the main goal of Fresh Empire was to change the attitudes and beliefs towards cigarettes within the hip hop community. And we had $125 million to do that. And I managed that money. So that really gave me an inside look on how to change behavior on a positive way, but it also completely opened my eyes on how you can change behavior on a negative way. How many campaigns are being shifted to us, one mainly being hip hop. So really that's kind of like my background and getting into it. But like personally, just on some testimony, we all brothers here. Like the lockdown was a saving grace for me, man. You know what I'm saying? Because I got to detach from the grind. You know what I'm saying? I got to detach from the media. I got to detach from going out to the club, having some whack ass conversations, or being most of the time we in spaces with black people, we hear music that's telling us to kill each other. So it's just like, of course we mean mugging each other. We on guard, you know what I'm saying? Because we don't have these spaces. So I really feel like right now we have a window, maybe 2.5 weeks, bro, before the regularly scheduled program come back up. And when I say regularly scheduled program, I mean the regular program of the media completely taking over the message. And what the brother said was right. Right now, social media is controlling the narrative, but they don't want that. You know what I'm saying? They don't want that. They don't want to talk about this and things like that. So I'm really kind of advocating a strategy. I'm a strategist. That's what I do for brands. I've worked with Adidas, I work with Nike, Gentleman Jack, Fresh Empire, Pepsi. I create strategy. I create national campaigns. So I really want to kind of look at this as a macro level, and kind of my 4 points are unlearn, relearn, strategize, execute. Unlearn, relearn, strategize, execute. That is supported by cut the check. You know what I'm saying? Like 65, we was marching for police brutality, and I get it. But it's a symptom. It's a symptom of a larger virus. Black people, we're fearless. we stood up to the fear of coronavirus, bro. Like for real, like that's right. Like we literally just went suicide bomb. We don't care, we going for it. So it's just like if we can take that energy and get the kids to understand what to ask for, and we can have this collective message that really is a campaign and shit. You know what I'm saying? From a marketing side, instead of marching, let's launch 50 hot balloons at 12 cities at the same time. You know what I'm saying? I used to work with Yeezy, like when they launched exclusive shoes, billboards on building. Let's make it sexy, bro. The same tactics they use for us for liquor and cigarettes. Let's make it sexy. And that's kind of where I'm is. It's like unlearning the American dream and relearning the African American dream. And I'm fresh out, so I can kind of go back both ways. You know what I'm saying?
And that's what we have to do, bro. We have to take all these new ideas, right, and new thought processes, and put them into our organizing shell, right? So appreciate that, brother Russell. Brother Mike, you had your hand up before. Did you have
I just
something?
wanted to say I just wanted to say real quick, man. That's why I wanted Brother Russell to jump on, man, because that four piece, man, we were talking about it on V103 today, and when he laid that thing, I was like, oh yeah, we need to run that back. So I just want to jump in, man. But go ahead. Y'all take it.
Yeah, go ahead, brother Mike.
No, those are just my claps. You know, I do the claps. When
okay, all right.
Well, by all means, Mike, we're gonna stick with you because I want to dig in because, bro, Russell, you really taking me where I really wanted to drive because we all know as organizing and students of history, man, how important the culture is to the movement. I mean, in fact, it is the lifeblood of our people and the messages in the culture about resistance. So I wanted to ask the young brothers in particular, you know, when you're out there, like what kinds of things in our culture in terms of music that you guys are listened to or motivated by as young brothers in the movement, and what stands out to you culturally?
You mind if I address this?
Come on, bro, Russell.
Cool. Self-destruction. We're headed for self-destruction. Hey, self-destruction. We're headed for self-destruction. Bro, we in the music capital of Atlanta. Where the I don't want to cuss. Where is the music at? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like rappers be coming to the rally and be like, I don't want to talk. Cool. Sometimes I don't be wanting them to talk too because they don't like really got it. But as far as the music, like where's Quincy Jones at? You know what I'm saying? So I feel like honestly, it needs to be a rallying cry. It needs to be some music that's maintained. And I'm pulling like executives' cars. Like I'm calling coach. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, bro,
Yeah,
what's going on?
but,
Like, how we gonna be marching and then we got music telling us to kill ourselves? You know what I'm saying? And when we get in the car,
we got one, bro, Russell. We got one coming, man. Price Watkins, one of our Black Man Lab young brothers, man. He was one of our original Black Man Lab sons. Man, my son just let me get a little sneak peek, bro. When y'all hear this, what Price put out, man, it's beast. Well produced. You know, my son Kobe's got a producer they're working with, but man, it's an anthem. It's an anthem.
That's what we need.
I was trying to get them to put it out, bro. I was trying to get them to put it out yesterday when we were at the march, but it ain't quite ready. So when it's Russell, we got to run it. We got to run it strong, and it's so, like you can feel the youth in it.
So hey Fred, let me say something real. Say something real quick. With my students in political science, I give a definition of the word art. Art is the scientific manipulation of human behavior. I'll say it again. Art is a scientific manipulation of human behavior. So if we put out negative art, because it's a part of politics, it's a part of socialization. So it goes back to what Russell said. Whatever we produce, it's going to have some level of influence on our people. So stop producing all the negativity and begin. This is why the Black Conscious movement was so powerful. We had so much art capital to pull on to deal with some of the issues that we were dealing with back in the day. And it drove our inspiration. It drove that renaissance. It drove our enlightenment. So Brother Russell is right, so I make them write down that definition. And then they also have to bring me political memes, music, all of that deals with enlightening their consciousness.
Good stuff, Brother Jared. Brother Mike, you were gonna say something. We jumped on you.
Sorry, Mike.
I think that's real. I think everyone said something that was very meaningful and very positive, and something I can add to that is you got to watch as far as what to listen to or what to watch. I think something that's even more important is you got to watch what you put into your like your aura, into your atmosphere, into your centerness. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to watch what you're allowing in your space. I've been doing that for the last couple of months, really. And honestly, good things will happen. You know what I mean? Like that's at least how I feel. When you only allow the good in, when you only work with the good things will happen. You know what I mean? You gotta paint your picture with the positive. With the positive strokes. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So I think that's extremely important, is watching what you listen to, watching how much of it you listen to, just being aware of what you're allowing into your space. I mean, I listen to all types of music, and there's certain times for certain things, and there's certain times for other things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's important as well.
Yeah, I think that, as we talked about at the beginning of this session that we started, we talk about staying centered, right? And that positive space is everything around you, whether it's how you are interacting with people or the stuff that's going in your head and or reading keeps you in that positive space. And as it relates to organizing, we have to have it, right? We have to have that when we're organizing. Because otherwise if you're all negative, people aren't going to want to follow your lead on stuff. So with that, L, step in, man. Give us your feedback.
Yeah, I like the little 4-step strategy Brother Russell said. Like, I'm a student of psychology, and I'm all for planning things out because that matters. I think one thing we discount is the psychology that we went through to get to where we are. And many people don't like the idea of being broken or damaged. But the mere words, those mere words suggest that they can be fixed and repaired. And so, like, even with the protests, like, I look at it like a hostile situation, right? A hostile takeover. Somebody jumps in the bank, they get in there, they take them. So they get in there, they take over, right? That's the protesting, what I think it is. They set demands, right? Then they give you a time limit of when they want these demands met. And then if demands are not met, this is what's going to start happening. And I think, to touch on that music part, people often try and condemn the music industry and these different industries. And I agree, but I think we have to be accountable as to us, what we listen to, right? I grew up on Dead Prez, and I can quote Lil Baby too, right? But we have to demand these professionals, not just musicians and rappers, not musicians and entertainers, but the athletes, the teachers. We have to demand our doctors. We have to demand all these professionals, our professors, to be African-centered. And if you don't know what that means, you need to be asked. We need to develop some type of protocol that you go through. And if, like I said, if you don't know what that means, ask why. Ask what it is. And we need to have some manuscript to give to them, like, hey, this is how you conduct your African-centered class in this institution, or this is how you conduct your doctor visits in this institution. I think it's just time out for us to just want to have a seat at the table. It's just time out for us. We are under influence, and we cannot ignore it anymore. To be a lawyer, you can't just be a lawyer. You need to become Maoli Davis as a lawyer. You can't just be a professor. You need to become the Parham and the Jarretts and the Chris Bass and the Dr. White, where you bring students in who may not even attend your university, but you allow them to come and watch what is going on in the class, because that can change it. That can change the world. Exposure is everything.
Sure.
So, like, when we talk about as far as music, I think we need to start demanding African-centered, and that don't mean that the sound got to change and it's all beats and drums. I enjoy an 808 just like the next man, right? I like what happens. I like the way we vibe when it comes on, but we definitely got to make some demands. And if people, like Brother Russell said, rappers ain't got to talk, athletes ain't got to talk, them being there is enough. They don't need to be on stage, because what they say may not be as efficient as as what we heard yesterday down in Decatur at the Beacon Hill rally. Those, I mean, all of those youngins was powerful, and to let the old man Eldridge cap them off, that was just like a pound to the hip. You know, that was their chin check. They was done after that.
And I think that what you're saying there is significant, Al. And as we talk about this new day of organizing, as we talk about the younger generation coming along and organizing and taking a leadership role, there has to be some African-centered base there for them. Really understand, where we came from, and take that information and move forward. So that's why I'm excited about where we are today, because like you said yesterday at that rally, that's what all those people were. All those young folks that got out there and taught, they all were that way. And that was very significant. And like you said, Eldridge, I'm gonna bring you in. You ended it yesterday with that spirit. So you're officially a millennial, right?
Yeah, I'm a millennial.
So you're playing that in between right
Old
now.
millennial.
Yeah, you too. I'm sorry. So talk about that, man. Talk about being in that space and what it looks like for you.
Well, I'm actually considered a young millennial, first of all. What you're starting to see in the street is actually called Generation Z. So there's two generations. Generation Z is the one that you're really starting to see in the street.
Okay.
But I am what you consider a younger millennial. But playing a role in that space, for me, man, it's like I said, what's so crazy, I'm coming from a different perspective. I got an opportunity to, Derek always talk about how he got to carry Arthur Langford's bag when he was young. So I'm getting an opportunity to carry Derek Bozeman, Malvern Davis' bag. And for me, Jared, how long have I been on Let Us Make Man? About 6-7 years? How many times have you heard me speak? Like, for real, like up front, like on the rallies and stuff like that, I'm normally playing the back row. So it's one of those situations where now we're seeing the opportunity for us to really, there's no time for us to be on the background as young people. Like, we got to be out there every night. We're just out there in the streets today. It's a protest going every day. Every day is something going on. I'm about to go meet a friend now. And it's so, the energy is so high right now. On Saturday, I rode around. I passed a protest in Buckhead. I passed a protest in Brookhaven. I passed one downtown. I passed one on Punts. And they even protesting in Madison, Georgia. So right now, I mean, as young people, this is our time. This is our time to come up. We always talking about when y'all passing the torch. The torch passed. Yeah. Now we're gonna see who really want it. Who's gonna pick it up?
Yeah.
If I can interject right quick, I think even like Eldridge said, young people, it is our time. But I think one thing when I speak about that African centeredness is that we have to congregate and counsel with the OGs, because while we are not our ancestors, we are them in a much more developed space, and we tired just as they tired, but now we have different tools to show how tired we are. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Powerful.
So let's get to the demands of leaders, young men. I know Michael said you're a part of C100 at Oglethorpe, and so want to hear from you about the demands that you're making as you are in the street. You're on mute, Mike.
All right, you got me. My bad about that.
It's okay.
We do have a list of demands. Our demands were one written by the presidents of our C100 different groups, as far as Morehouse, Clark, Spelman, Oglethorpe, Georgia State. Hope I'm not leaving anybody off. But our first demand is to adopt a duty to intervene law. Essentially, what the duty to intervene law is, if an officer is seeing an officer or is in the vicinity of an officer using an excessive amount of force, it's now their duty to intervene in that force is to help out the citizen, right? And when you see that happen, or you see the videos where officers are just watching and standing there, they need to also be charged because they also play a part in it, right? And so we're saying that we need to adopt that law here in Georgia. Our second demand is a yearly system of accountability of police officers. Like any other space, you are a teacher, you're a lawyer, you're a doctor, whatever you are, you have to be accountable for your performance. If you work in corporate America, you have to be accountable for your performance. And we believe that police officers should be accountable for their performance as well, because in a lot of these cases, we see, officers have this many citations or this many things, and they've never been reprimanded. No one's ever said anything. They just have complaints, right? And honestly, in every field, there are people who may not be the best people to be in that field. And we need to be responsible. Somebody needs to be held responsible for making sure that those people are on the streets policing or over policing. Our third demand is mandated police training for high school students. We see in a lot of cases our young children don't necessarily know how to go about, don't know the rights and wrongs of dealing with a police officer. And then they end up in a situation where it's not their fault, but they end up in a situation where they may be hurt or they may be wrong. They don't know their rights, right? So it's essential that we get those trainings, those police trainings for the high school students. And we're saying that should happen when they do their training for when they get their car, right? When they're going to get their license and things like that. The fourth thing that we're championing for is to enforce the hate crime law in Georgia. 46 out of 50 states have a hate crime law. We don't. We don't understand why that's the case, and we demand that we do have one, right? Because hate crimes happen, and honestly, sometimes the police, sometimes other people, but we need a hate crime law because we believe that people should be held accountable for what they do. I think that's an issue that we're seeing in all of these demands is people aren't being held accountable, right? And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for accountability and those are the four things that we those are for. I can't my bad. I apologize. But yeah, those are our four demands. I'm sorry. Those are our four demands when we march, when we go out and we organize. Those are the things that we want in the state of Georgia, because people need to be held accountable for the things that they do. And people feel so empowered to treat us inhumanely.
Thanks, Mike. Eldridge. Demands.
Yeah, man. I like what Mike said. Of course, reparations now. We want it. I think an easy win right now that I would love to see from Keisha Lance Bottoms. It is proven that Chief Erica Shields needs to go. She has all the power to fire her tonight, and I feel like we have enough evidence to prove that Chief Erica Shields doesn't have the compassion, the competency, and the ability to lead this community in the way it needs to lead. And if anything has showed us that the harassment and locking up of Black boys selling water, the attack of the AUC students, and then her calling that political when they were held accountable, now to Amber Jackson. All three of those alone is enough for us to fire Chief Erica Shields. And I think Keisha should do that now if she cares about the state of her Black community.
Brother Russell, L, what have you guys?
I think my demands are more, I don't know if they happen now, if they have, the process can start now. But again, I'm a student in psychology. That's what I went to school for. And that's the study of the human mind. And these police officers were once humans, right? And so they went through the same indoctrination as majority of people go through. And then they put on that badge and that vest and became something extra. So I think it's time, as from the Black community, I think it's time that you get in touch with your parents, whether you 2, 23, 22, or 52, 82. Get in touch with your original source of power and ask them, what was it like? Like my mom was telling me that her and my grandma had a conversation about what it was like when my grandma was my age and had to still participate and sneak, or not even sneak, just she couldn't walk through the front door of the theater. She had to walk through the back. She couldn't ride the front of the bus, right? She picked up kids and had to be their babysitter. She had to sit in the back of the bus and they had to get on through the front and come to the back. So when you understand all of that and then you move forward, you become so much more powerful. And I think you start relieving yourself. Like, again, I grew up around great men and women, so I've known what to do all my life. I remember when we started the Black Man Lab and at the office, right? This was like when City of Atlanta was getting crazy, and we started this, and you guys wanted to talk to the sons, and we addressed how to call you guys if the police pull us over, right? Those are things that are needed to be heard, maybe not just from your parents' mouth, but from your community mouth. So for me, I think it's just time for us to get in touch with our parents, educate yourself outside of your comfort zone, right? I'm not a law student, but I can quote some law. I'm not a scientist, but I can quote some science. I'm a psychologist, right? But I can dip and dab in these spaces. I can't hang, but I can dip and dab. So those are my demands from us. I think it's beyond time. I'm not gonna condemn, like my uncle said, like Brother Russell said, I don't condemn anybody's actions as the looting and the rioting and those rappers who are. I think you should check yourself ASAP, because I mean you're at a seat of privilege. And just like white privilege has to be checked, there's a thing where Black people are entering white spaces and their privilege, it ain't the same. So you need to be checked. So those are small demands from me.
Yeah. So now we wrap up about 7:45, so the time is drawing nigh. But I did want Attorney Davis, Bro Russell, and Jared, Professor Grant, to touch on and perhaps narrow our focus with your wisdom on what demands or what's next. I wore my shirt tonight so that we can make sure we focus on what's next after the protest. So in whatever order you brothers want to come on with what's next.
And remember, we're up against the clock, brothers. So
For sure.
you-
I'm gonna go super
keep it
quick
tight.
because I
Come
gotta
on,
go
Russell.
hit this other protest real quick. They got me on Bankhead, so we about to go dumb. Simple demands. One, I need 500 million for an entire campaign to replenish the Black image. I need billboards with no brands with beautiful Black pictures of people. I need TV shows with scripts and characters that are positive and relevant getting funded. I need labels. If you got rappers that are fire and they got a message, you get a check. Oh, you got a clothing line that's dope, cool. We're gonna give you a factory. So I need a multi advertising campaign for the image of African Americans with the top agency around the nation, the smartest ad execs, the smartest creators that are reforming the image of African Americans for the youth. One. The second thing I need a free African American studies school that any Black person in the nation can go to. And I ain't talking about like online document Google. Nah, bro. The highest professors, the dopest writers, the dopest historians, the dopest writers, you go for free. You Black, you go for free. You want to relearn your history, you get to go for free. 3, every Black person should have every resource available to trace their roots and their history and their DNA. Shit, y'all pull up all this DNA, framing all my Black homies, you know what I'm saying? Jail for 15, they weren't even there. I need the full resources of the law to figure out. My homegirl, actually my ex-girlfriend, she's just found out that her great-great-grandfather was the Django, Jamie Foxx, you know what I'm saying? And like this, just like how many stories do we have as Black people where, you know what I'm saying, it may, some of the stories are going to be slavery or whatever like that, but a lot of it is like, shit, we connected to royalty and we guessing. So just we doing that. And the last thing, the next to last thing is every Black person in America gets a free 2-week trip to Africa, all expense paid. Every Black kid, every Black person, every Black grandma, every Black uncle, free, luxury, plane, passport, everything. you get to enlighten and go back. And the last thing ultimately is independence, man. It's not an imaginary place called the Cookout on Twitter. It's called Africa America. Africa America is the place. So that's kind of that's what I've been thinking.
Reparations now, bro, Russell.
Yes,
All
sir.
right. Thank
Molly,
you.
you got 2 minutes. Jared, split between.
All right. I mean, real quick, what Russell just ended with, Africa America. Let's just begin there. The revolution begins with us. Change the way we eat. We are African people. Change everything, our sovereignty, how we liberate, how we look at everything, because that'll change the economy. You know, they make money and are preying off of us, off of all of the things that we create. Everyone else is preying on and making huge industries off of us. The second thing is humanity. You know, we need laws of humanity, and the attempt was last week was still to try to pass a bill on lynching, and they couldn't pass a bill on lynching, anti-lynching. And so, you know, we have a long way to go as far as I can give you a list of, you know, we fought for the police wearing those cameras, and they started wearing the cameras. But guess what they did? What did they do in return? Hiding the videos, turning them off. And in the end, just not doing anything with the information, even if it shows that they did a criminal act. The basic thing is showing humanity, but that's a difficult request when humanity has not been shown by another group of people to us. And so racism it really begins and ends with us on how we respond. And I think we need to internalize what we need to do, become this African people that we are, begin to consciously work from that angle, as well as apply all of the political and economic components as well, but keep it insular. I got a list of, you know, demands that we would want, but I think at the beginning and the end of the day, and it goes what Maoli talked about earlier, in that, you know, white supremacy is a system of pathology. It unilaterally seeks to invest and destroy the African image, the Black image. And it has invested well in its information capital to do that. That goes back to what Russell is talking about. We have to reinvest back into our image, but we do that when we apply and become the revolution about who we are, what we are. And then we take all of that and recreate ourselves in this new time, you know. And we're not just African American. That's just one ethnic group. We're a part of an African diaspora.
Right.
So we number over 1 billion people in the world. We're not a minority, and therefore, and we have a land, history, and culture that we need to, like he talked about, we need to reattach ourselves to. Okay, and so that, for the most part, is what I needed to say.
Thank you, Brother Gray.
I'll let Maoli wrap it up.
Appreciate that, man. Appreciate that insight, and that gets to you touched on a little bit, the system. System has been, you know, here in America has been screwed up for us for well over 400 years and around the world as well. Brother Maoli, I see you actually have one of my nephew's shirts right now in the screen. I love that. I need to get that.
I see that, Maoli.
And you're actually speaking to it with that shirt. We're running a little long, but I can't not let you jump in and discuss that before we get ready to wrap up here, as we talk about the systematic and systemic racism that we have been fighting against for a long time, and now we're on the cusp of something different than what we've seen for a long time. So I want you to be able to talk about that, Maoli. You there, brother? Maybe we lost him.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Well, go ahead, you take it, Marty.
Yeah. So, well, what we always wrap up with, fellas, and I want you guys to hit this really quick. what we always wrap up with is habits, disciplines, and rituals that you do on a regular basis that keep you centered, that keep you moving, especially as it relates to organizing and leading, right? What is it that you do on a daily basis that are your habits, rituals, and disciplines? So I'm gonna start with you, Eldridge.
You're on mute, bro.
We can't hear
On
you.
you.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, one thing that I try to do every week, and Parham can know this is true, I try to call one of my elders, my big brothers, one of my babas, every week and take them out to lunch and fellowship. And out of that, I always get a level of insight, understanding, bringing stuff to them. They pouring stuff to me, but it's very like I'm very intentional at making sure I take care of theirs because I understand what they pouring into me is of value. You know what I'm saying? I just want to honor that. So that's for me, and I encourage all young organizers out there, get with someone that's been in this game for a minute, and and just serve. And through serving, you're gonna learn, and that's for me.
Good stuff, man.
Great stuff.
Bleach your Q-time part.
See you there.
Wait, hey, I'm waiting for my lunch, man. Actually, you took me to lunch. I forgot that. Brother Mike, your habits, rituals, and disciplines.
My biggest habit is reading. I read, man. The world goes, everything happens so fast, and sometimes we can get kind of stuck into that and caught into that, and we don't have time for real growth, and real understanding and real learning. So I read every single day. I work out every day, and one thing I would say that I think is extremely important, I don't think we do enough, is wake up early, man. You never know how much life you got left. So I try to wake up as early as I can. I wake up around 6 every single day, 6, 5:30, depending on what I have to do. And I try to just get the most day I can get every single day. And I think those are the things.
That's some great stuff right there. Because like you said, you never know when your time is up. So you try to get as much time as you possibly can, man. Appreciate that, brother Mike. L.
Man, master my craft. Like I said, I can dip and dabble in a lot of things. I've never met a better criminal than myself, but I'm not a criminal. I've never met a better businessman. I've never met a better scientist, but just master your craft. Understand who you are. And you understand who you are by understanding everything around you, right? I'm a brother, I'm a son, I'm a nephew, right? I'm all of these things to these different people. And as I engage them on a daily basis, at minimum weekly basis, through their eyes, I see me. I can interpret I can comprehend who I really am. So attack your mental, man. Protect your mental, but attack it and ask yourself, are you who you want to be, or are you who you should be? And I think that's the question of my generation.
Awesome. Appreciate that. Brother Grant.
I go to my ancestral altar each morning, and I call on the African gods and goddesses that created and built the greatest civilizations known to mankind, and to help me through the day and through my life.
Awesome. Brothers, with that, I am going to wrap us up. We are well over our time. One thing I want to make an announcement about is the census. We want to make sure folks that are listening haven't done your census, please make sure that you do. All right. And tomorrow, vote. Everybody has the power to vote and make a change. And I want to make sure that everybody is doing those things. We want to make sure as our listening audience is listening in, that they understand the level of importance for both of those things. I'm going to wrap up now with another one of our traditions, which is I am a link in this chain. And Mauli, are you on?
Bro, Mauli, can you take us out? You on here?
He's having trouble. I'll bring us in and then we can do it. Sister, ancestor now, who's a major contributor to Pan-Africanist group in Cobra.
Jerry Algani.
And Jerry Algani. She he started this to end every session of in Cobra, every meeting that they had, and that is everybody links their arms. If we were together right now, we'd all be linking our arms together, and we repeat this: I am a link in this chain,
I'm a link in this chain,
and it won't break here.
And it won't break here.
Right here.
I am a link in this chain,
I'm a link in this chain,
and it won't break here.
and it won't
And
break
it won't break here.
We are links in this chain,
we
are links in this chain.
and we won't break here.
and we won't break here.
Ashe.
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 Brothers, I appreciate you. Thank you. Keep pushing as we continue to organize, as we continue to move this thing forward. We are in a new day, and every one of you guys are important. Every one of you all is significant and touching lives out there and changing our Black future, man. So appreciate you all. Maoli, do you have anything that you want to end on?
Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
We can now.
Man, I give thanks, man. You know, I was showing my son's t-shirt when it went off. He came with that F the system. I think that's where we at. F this system. And that's why we need reparations. We need to defund police. I'm encouraging everybody, man. We need our most radical, rebellious imagination to come forward now. And we need the brothers and sisters to stay in the streets. And we're going to win.
By any
Good to
means
see y'all.
necessary.
Stay in the
Now's the
Peace
time,
out.
y'all.
Peace.
Russell,
Thank
I'm
you,
gonna get you up.
panelists. Thank you.